I was elbow deep in a bin of scratched up routers when my phone rang. Local number I didn't recognize. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something told me to answer. "Yeah," I said, wiping dust off my hands. "Hey, this is Gus from Brookstone Pawn. I think I've got something of yours." He had my attention now. "What is it?" "A LEATHERMAN super tool. Old school model, beat up but taken care of. Guy said it was his, but I got a weird feeling about it. Checked the initials. Figured I'd call around. You're Evan, right?" My stomach dropped. I kept that tool in my locker drawer at work. My dad gave it to me right before he died. I walked fast to the break room, heart pounding, yanked open the drawer. Empty. "Yeah, that's mine," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "How'd you get my number?" "Friend of mine used to work at your warehouse. Said you talked about your dad a lot. Mentioned that tool once. I did a little digging. Look, I don't want to say too much over the phone. You should just come in." I didn't even clock out. I left the bin where it was, grabbed my jacket, and walked straight to my car. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. That Leatherman wasn't just a pocket tool. It was the last thing Dad gave me before the chemo started eating him alive. He gave it to me after we fixed the back porch together. Said I'd need it when he was gone. I had no idea how it disappeared. No one touches my stuff at work. I don't let them. Brookstone Pawn was about 20 minutes away. Every red light made me angrier. Whoever tried to sell it had no idea what they were messing with. I parked crooked and stormed inside. The place smelled like old carpet and cigarette smoke. Gus was behind the counter. Older guy, thick arms, long gray beard. He looked up, recognized me right away. "You Evan?" I nodded. He didn't smile, just gave a small nod and said, "Come with me." He led me to the back, past racks of dusty tools and speakers. My throat was tight. I knew that tool was mine. I just didn't know who would steal it, or why. Gus opened a drawer, pulled out a leather case, and handed it to me. My hands knew it before my eyes did. The scratch on the belt loop, the way the clasp clicked. "Let me guess," I said, already furious. "Some punk tried to sell it?" Gus nodded slowly. "Young guy, said it was his, but I don't think it was." "Who was it?" I asked. He looked at me, dead serious. "I'd rather show you something first." He opened the case and pulled out the tool. "Your dad ever hide anything inside this?" I stared at him. "What do you mean, hide something?" Gus held up the Leatherman. "Come here." He set it on the scratched-up counter, flipped it open like he'd done it 100 times. His fingers found a seam I'd never noticed before. Near the base of the file, right where the grip curved, he pressed down, twisted something small with a click. The handle popped open. Inside was a tiny folded square of paper, yellowed, dry around the edges. He handed it to me. I didn't move at first. My stomach was already turning, but I reached out and took it, unfolded it, slow, careful. The handwriting hit me like a gut punch. I knew it right away. My dad's blocky, no-nonsense scrawl. "Evan, if you're reading this, go to the shed. Red tackle box. You'll know what to do. Key inside. Dad." My throat closed up. I read it again just to make sure it was real. "I didn't mess with the shed," Gus said. "That's your business." I kept staring at the note. It didn't make sense. My dad never hid things. He wasn't the type. He paid bills on time, called back when he missed a call, labeled everything he owned. But this was something else. "How'd you even find this?" I asked. Gus leaned on the counter. "I was cleaning it. Didn't feel right just taking the kid's word. Started checking the seams, saw the edge was loose." I nodded slowly. "You said some guy tried to pawn it. What did he look like? Tall, skinny, mid-20s maybe, blonde, didn't give a name, said it was a gift from his old man. That part didn't sit right. The tool's got age, where from someone who actually used it. Not something you find in a glove box." My jaw clenched. I knew who it was now. Only one guy matched that description and had access to my stuff. Gus studied my face. "You know him." "Yeah," I muttered. "I know him." He went quiet for a second, then said, "Your dad." I knew him, back in the day. He used to come by when I first opened. Always paid back what he borrowed, never gave me trouble. Stood by his word. I looked up. "You knew him?" "Yeah. He helped me out once too. Roof collapsed on my shop in '04. Couldn't afford contractors. Your dad shows up with a nail gun and a case of shingles. Wouldn't take more than $100. Said that was enough." I swallowed hard. He never told me that. Gus smiled, but it was small. He wasn't the type to brag. I reached for my wallet. Look, man, let me at least... He put his hand up fast. Don't insult me. That tool's yours. Always was. Still, you could have sold it. You didn't have to call me. I did have to, he said. Man who helped me when no one else would. This is just me finally settling the score. He slid the Leatherman across the counter like it was sacred. I picked it up with both hands. It felt heavier than before, like it carried more now. You sure about the shed? I asked. That's what the note says, red tackle box. I slipped the tool into my jacket pocket. I haven't been back there in years. Then maybe it's time. I didn't say anything, just nodded, turned, and headed for the door. As I stepped outside, the cold slapped me in the face. I stood in the parking lot, heart still pounding, the note gripped in my fist. I opened my phone and pulled up the address. The fishing shed was still behind the old house. Mom never got rid of it. Doubt she'd touched it since Dad died. I started walking to my car. I had a key to find. I didn't even pull into the driveway normal. Tires crunched across the edge of the lawn as I stopped short behind Mom's SUV. Still had the Leatherman in my pocket, the note folded flat in my wallet. Inside, they were at the dining table, Mom and Phil, surrounded by papers, envelopes, 2 half-drunk mugs of coffee. They looked up like I'd just kicked the door in. I walked straight to the table, pulled the Leatherman from my pocket, and dropped it between them. Looking for this? Phil blinked, reached for it. I smacked his hand away. You don't get to touch it. Mom straightened up. What's going on? You want to tell me why Jared took this from my locker and tried pawning it? Phil's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. Brookstone Pawn called me. Said a tall blonde kid tried to sell it, claimed it was his. Gus knew it wasn't. This tool belonged to my dad. Gus knew him. Mom's face flushed. Okay, maybe Jared borrowed it. He stole it. She flinched at that. Evan, he didn't mean harm. He just needed cash. Yeah, I know. Startup money, right? What's this? His third brilliant idea that's gone nowhere? Phil sat back, crossed his arms. He's trying. You could show a little support. Support? I laughed once, sharp. I work full-time. I pay rent here. I don't steal from anybody. Meanwhile, your grown son breaks into my locker and sells something my father left me. Mom sighed. He didn't know what it meant to you. Not the point. He knew it wasn't his. Phil looked ready to argue, but I didn't give him the chance. You guys going to fix it? What do you mean? Mom asked. I mean the money. I want it back. Full amount Jared got for it, and then some. I'm not letting this slide. She looked at Phil, then back at me. The money's gone, Evan. I stared at her. He used it already, she said quietly. He got branding help, built a site. He's trying to launch something real this time. I shook my head. You've said that before. Twice. Phil cut in. You need to calm down. No, what I need is my property respected and my money returned. Mom folded her arms. Are you really threatening us over a tool? I leaned in. It's not just a tool. It was my dad's. And yeah, I'm dead serious. Either you pay me back or I press charges. Phil stood up. You're not filing anything. That's family. Then act like it, I snapped. Because right now, I've got zero reason to believe anyone at this table gives a damn about me. We've supported you for years, Mom said. I pointed at the Leatherman. And you just watched your stepson rob me blind. What else has he taken? She didn't answer. I picked up the tool, shoved it back in my jacket. You've got 72 hours. I want it in full. Don't care how. Otherwise, I'm going to the cops and filing a report under Jared's name. Mom's mouth opened, but I didn't let her speak. I mean it. I'm done playing quiet. You let him get away with this, and you expect me to swallow it? Not happening. I turned and walked to my room, grabbed my wallet, checked the note one more time, just to remind myself it was real. Dad didn't write much, but when he did, he meant it. I walked out without saying another word. I had a shed to get to. I drove straight to the old place. The shed sat behind the fence line, just like it always had, half sunk in weeds, gray from sun and weather. No one had touched it since Dad passed. The lock was rusted but still opened with the old key I kept on my ring. Inside, it smelled like motor oil and damp wood. Dust hung in the air like it had waited just for me. The workbench was still cluttered with old pliers, hooks, busted lures. Everything exactly where he left it. I scanned the shelves, my heart pounding like I was breaking into someone else's place. There it was, red tackle box on the top shelf, faded, duct taped on one corner. I pulled it down, set it on the bench, popped the latches. Inside, under a tangle of line and some cracked bobbers, was a Ziploc bag. I pulled it out. The key inside was small, gold, and stamped with Central Union Bank. I stared at it for a full minute. Dad never said anything about a safety deposit box, and Mom sure as hell didn't know about it. I left the shed and got back in my car, hands tight on the wheel. I drove across town without stopping, straight to the bank. The receptionist asked for ID, box number, key, no questions beyond that. She took me into a small private room, handed me the long metal box, and left me alone. I opened it slow, not sure what I expected. Inside were just two things, a thick spiral-bound notebook and a padded manila envelope. I opened the envelope first, pulled out 4 stacks, thick and crisp, wrapped in paper bands. Took me a second to understand what I was looking at. Bearer bonds, the kind you don't need ID for, the kind people use before digital accounts. I flipped through the documents, maturity dates, serial numbers, interest accrual. The total was over $100,000. My chest got tight. I set the envelope aside and opened the notebook. It was Dad's handwriting again, lines of jobs he did over the years. Roofing, framing, repair gigs, names, dates, what he was owed. Some had check marks, a lot didn't. Near the middle, one page was marked with a paperclip. I flipped to it. Unpaid, Fisher Build Co. Site foreman Mike Lanning, $42,000. Refused final invoice. Said we'd settle later. We never did. My jaw clenched. I knew that name. They were still in business, flashy trucks all over town. At the very back of the notebook was a folded letter with my name on it. Evan, if you're reading this, you found the key. That means you've probably had to deal with more than you should have. You always stayed quiet, never asked for much. I saw it. I want you to have this because I trust you not to waste it. You'll know what to do. Just remember, what's fair isn't always what's given. You have to take it sometimes. Dad. I sat there for a long time. It was like hearing his voice again. Not soft or sentimental, just straight, practical. That was how he talked. That was how he taught me. He didn't leave this for Mom. Didn't tell her about it. I knew why. She'd have let Phil or Jared burn through it before the year was out. This was for me, because I showed up, because I worked, because I never asked for anything but got handed crap anyway. I closed the notebook, sealed the envelope again, and stood up. I walked out of the bank, feeling like I was finally holding something that belonged to me, something they couldn't take. I headed straight back to the house, but not for long. I went straight to my room and locked the door behind me, dropped the notebook on my desk, and flipped it open again. Page after page, Dad had documented every job like a man building a case file. Dates, addresses, what materials he bought, hours worked, and in the margins, little notes, promised half, never showed, or check bounced. Fisher Build Co. was just the biggest name in there. But there were at least a dozen others, people who'd screwed him out of time, labor, or both. I read through a line about a siding job he did 2 months before his diagnosis. Said the guy promised to settle at the end of the month. Never did. Dad noted it like a receipt. 3 days, 14 hours, left it cleaner than he found it. That's how he worked. All pride, no complaints. The notebook wasn't about money. It was everything he built with his hands and never got paid for. Years of work he let slide because chasing it down wasn't worth the headache. Until maybe he realized he wouldn't be around long enough to make peace with it. I sat back, staring at the list of names. Then I flipped the notebook shut. I wasn't letting this rot in a box, not when the same people who robbed him were probably still out there, sipping coffee in houses he helped build. I opened my laptop and started searching. I found Fisher Build's website. They were bigger now. New logo, sponsored the county fair, even had a commercial with a jingle. Made me sick. Then I searched the others. A few of the smaller ones were gone, shut down, renamed, or merged. But one guy showed up under a 5-star Yelp review for fast, affordable drywall. I started taking notes. For a second, I thought about how Dad used to work. Quiet, efficient. The man never raised his voice. Not once. Even when I stripped a screw or snapped a drill bit, he'd just say, "Slow down, line it up right." He never rushed. He was exact. I grabbed my Leatherman from the nightstand, flicked it open and shut a couple times. The weight of it felt different now. Not just a tool, a message, a reminder. It wasn't about revenge. It was about making it right. The bonds were one thing. But this was about respect. I didn't know much about legal stuff, but I knew enough not to go into it blind. I needed someone who'd know how to deal with unpaid labor, contracts, small claims, maybe even something bigger. I pulled up the local bar association site and searched for lawyers who handled construction disputes and estate stuff. Found a name that popped up twice on referral forums, Marissa Clay. Said she was sharp, didn't waste time, and didn't mind chasing down old debts if the paper trail held up. I jotted her number down. Then I opened my phone and took photos of every page in Dad's notebook, uploaded the whole thing to the cloud, backed it up twice. I wasn't letting it disappear, not like he did. By the time I was done, it was past midnight. Didn't matter, I knew exactly what I was doing next. I didn't sleep much. Got up, showered, packed a duffel bag, and drove straight back to the house while it was still early. I wasn't waiting for some fake apology or more excuses. I walked in through the front door like I still lived there, because technically I did. Jared was on the couch in his usual spot, laptop open, talking to Mom and Phil like he was pitching to investors. And then once we scaled the platform, we monetized the user base. That's where the growth happens. Mom nodded like she actually understood any of it. I dropped my bag on the floor, loud enough to shut the room up. "Good morning," Jared said, like nothing happened. I looked straight at Mom. "I'm moving out. Today." She blinked. "Evan, what?" "I'm not living in this house another day with people who steal from me and think I'm supposed to just take it." Phil stood up. "Now hold on. Nobody's stealing. Don't start. I know who pawned the tool. I know what it was worth. I also know the money's gone, so save it." Jared gave a smug little shrug. "Look, I didn't think it mattered. You never even used the thing. It wasn't yours to touch. I was going to pay you back." I crossed my arms. "When? After your fourth fake company crashes and burns? What are you even selling now?" He held up the laptop like it meant something. "It's an app, streamlined budgeting for freelancers. So, a spreadsheet with a logo." Phil stepped in. "Okay, enough. This doesn't help anyone. Family sticks together." "No, family doesn't rob each other blind and play dumb. You let him into my stuff, you stood by when he pawned something that meant everything to me, and now you want me to shut up and be grateful?" Mom looked hurt. "You're overreacting. We've always tried to help you. You've helped Jared, over and over. I pay rent here, remember? I don't take, I don't ask, but I'm done being quiet." Jared leaned forward. "I said I'd pay you back once the app takes off." "And I said that's not good enough." He scoffed. "It's not like you're hurting. You've got Dad's old notebook or whatever." I stepped closer. "Don't talk about him. You don't get to say his name." Phil's face hardened. "So what now, Evan? You gonna sue your own family?" "Already hired a lawyer." That landed. The room went still. "You're joking," Mom said. I shook my head. "Her name's Marissa Clay. She'll be in touch. You let a theft happen. You benefited from it. That's not family. That's fraud." Phil muttered something under his breath and stormed into the kitchen. Jared stood up. "Come on, man. You're gonna drag us through court over a stupid tool?" I walked to my room without answering, threw the rest of my clothes into a laundry bag, yanked my work boots from under the bed, grabbed the framed photo of Dad off my shelf. When I came back out, Mom was still standing there like she expected me to change my mind. "You don't have to do this," she said quietly. "I do. Because if I don't, you'll keep pretending this didn't happen." Jared watched me like I was the problem. "You don't get it," I said to both of them. "I'm not asking anymore. I'm taking back what's mine." I picked up my bag, opened the front door, and walked out. I didn't look back when I got in my car. Drove straight to a motel on the edge of town, run-down place with flickering lights and paper-thin walls. Didn't care. I just needed space. Somewhere they couldn't touch. I paid cash for 3 nights, dropped my bags, and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the notebook in my lap. The Leatherman was on the nightstand. Felt right that way. Next morning, I met with Marissa Clay at her office downtown. She was sharp from the second I walked in. Black blazer, notepad already open. Didn't waste time on small talk. "You're Evan?" she asked. "Yeah. Got something I need you to look at." I slid the notebook across the desk. She flipped it open and scanned a few pages, eyes moving fast. "Where did this come from?" "My dad. He passed a few years back. This was his record of jobs he did, ones he never got paid for." She nodded. "You got any proof he sent invoices?" "Some. There's notes about when he mailed them, names, addresses. One big company stiffed him for over 40 grand. She looked up. "Fisher Build?" "Yeah. You know them?" "I've dealt with them. They've got a reputation." She kept flipping through the notebook, stopping occasionally to jot notes. Then she looked at me. "This isn't nothing. It's rough, but it's solid. You've got at least 5 recoverable claims here, depending on how we push it. We can easily chase down 40 grand, maybe more." I exhaled, finally feeling like I wasn't crazy. "I also found some bearer bonds," I added, "in a safety deposit box. He left those too." "Do you have them on you?" I handed over the padded envelope. She pulled out the stacks, inspected the paperwork inside. "These are in good shape," she said. "Matured too. You're looking at roughly 125, give or take." I blinked. "That much?" "Yeah, these age well. Most people forget that." She slid everything back into the envelope. "Let me help you file the proper transfer paperwork. We'll get them liquidated. After that, you'll have options." It was the first time I'd heard that word. Options, and it didn't sound fake. We spent the next hour scanning every page of the notebook, listing names, checking the statute of limitations. She was fast, smart, and didn't sugarcoat a single thing. "This'll take time," she said. "But it's winnable." I nodded. "Good, I'm ready." After I left her office, I sat in my car for a few minutes, letting it all settle in. The bonds were real. The money was mine. And finally, I had someone in my corner who wasn't trying to talk me out of fighting back. I stopped by the bank, set up a new account, and dropped the bonds off for processing. Didn't say a word to anyone about it, especially not Mom. By the weekend, the funds were cleared. 125, just like she said. I didn't go blow it on anything stupid. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I just wanted peace. So I started house hunting. Not condos, not lofts, just a small, solid place with a garage and decent bones. Somewhere I could fix up over time. I toured 3 before one hit right. A little ranch on the north side of town, dusty front porch, faded vinyl siding, but strong foundation. Needed elbow grease, but I saw potential. The realtor kept talking about curb appeal and square footage, but I wasn't listening. All I cared about was that it was mine. I signed the offer that afternoon. It was the first step I'd taken in years that didn't have someone else's fingerprints on it, the kind of step that didn't need anyone's permission. By Monday, word had already gotten out. I hadn't told anyone, but Mom sure did. She called every relative within shouting distance to let them know I was suing the family over a trinket. That's the word she used, trinket. Didn't matter that it was my dad's last gift. Didn't matter that Jared stole it and sold it for startup money like a sociopath flipping junk online. None of that came up. Just me being ungrateful and going after my own blood. First came the texts, long, guilt-soaked paragraphs from cousins I hadn't talked to in years. Then the voicemails. Aunt Linda telling me I was breaking my mother's heart. Uncle Ray saying I was acting like a stranger. I didn't argue. Didn't explain. I sent one mass text to every last one of them with a photo of the police report. Jared's name circled in red. No response. The silence that followed? Best thing I'd heard in years. A couple weeks later, Phil called out of the blue. I almost didn't pick up. Wish I hadn't. "Evan," he said, real calm. "I know things got heated. Water under the bridge, yeah?" I didn't say anything. "So, listen, Jared's had a tough run lately. Things didn't shake out like we hoped. I was wondering if maybe you could help him out. Small loan, nothing big." I laughed once, just enough for him to hear it. "You serious?" "Just a little boost. Get him back on his feet. I'll do that right after I set fire to a stack of $100 bills." I hung up. Didn't take long after that to hear Jared's big app dream collapsed. No customers, no revenue, just branding consultants and a fancy logo. Blew through every cent he got, pawning my Leatherman and burning through Mom and Phil's savings. Could have told them that months ago. Actually, I did. A week after that, I opened my mailbox and found a plain white envelope with a business return address. Fisher Build Co. Inside was a check. 15 grand, No letter, no apology, just a check and a note at the bottom of the stub. Full payment to settle outstanding labor claim. Marissa had told me they'd fold fast. Said public court filings make big firms nervous. She was right. I cashed it the next day. Sat in my car in the bank parking lot after and just stared at the deposit slip. Dad had written that job off years ago, like the rest, but now it was finally paid. Took a while, but I got it done. Every call I'd made, every record I'd scanned, every page of that notebook, it was finally adding up. Funny thing is, the house wasn't even ready yet. Still needed floors redone and the kitchen fixed. Didn't matter. I had the funds, I had the time, I had no one breathing down my neck anymore. For once, nothing was being taken from me. I'd started with a stolen tool and a forgotten shed. Now, I was the one holding the pen. I moved into the house on a Saturday morning. One truckload, no help, no fanfare. Just me, a folding table, my tools, and a mattress wrapped in plastic. It was a one-story ranch on the edge of town, same town Dad grew up in. Quiet neighborhood, cracked sidewalks, backyard full of patchy grass and busted fencing. I didn't care. It was mine. First thing I did was open the garage. The smell of dust and insulation hit me like memory. I swept it out, measured the wall, and bolted in a heavy-duty workbench. Screwed in a pegboard, lined up every tool I owned, and set my dad's old red Craftsman toolbox dead center. Felt right. I didn't have much furniture yet, just a thrift store recliner, a small TV, a few pans in the kitchen, but I didn't feel like I was missing anything. No one was telling me what to do. No one was asking for favors or sucking me dry. No lectures, no guilt. The Leatherman stayed on my nightstand. I'd glance at it most nights before bed, sometimes pick it up just to feel the weight of it in my hand. That scratch near the hinge, the worn-down grip. Proof it had lived a real life, his life, then mine. Some nights, I'd flip it open and close it a few times, not really thinking, just checking, making sure it was still there, still ours. I didn't miss the old house. I didn't miss the voices or the fake concern or the pity looks. I didn't miss Phil's lectures or Mom's excuses or Jared's constant crap about his vision. They could keep all of that. What hit me hardest, sitting on my back steps that first week, was how long I let it go on. I thought being quiet meant I was keeping peace. Truth is, it just made me easier to ignore, easier to walk over. Dad saw it. That's why he left it to me. Not just the bonds, not just the notebook, but the chance to do something with it. He knew I wouldn't flash it around or waste it. He knew I'd use it to build something real. They stole a tool. They thought that was all it was, but it carried every second of time I spent next to him, learning how to patch drywall, fix a sink, frame a door straight. Every minute he spent working while others didn't pay up. They couldn't take that. That time was mine now, and I wasn't wasting another second.